Hey guys, this is my miter table build video part 1. Part 1 covers gluing together these vertical sections using wooden dowels. It's made up of 5 of those. It's the main structure for the table. If you're not interested in that, you may want to go ahead and skip to part 2, which is the assembly. So here's one of the vertical pieces glued up. I have wooden dowels here, and wooden dowels here, and I also have wooden dowels holding this cross member, and you can see that it leans a little bit because a 2x4 will lay flat on the floor this front section will sit on, and then the back will have a 2x4 standing vertically going across to tie all the vertical pieces together. Half laps on the top for the tabletop. So the first step in assembling this is drilling my my wooden dowel holes, and then I will go ahead and install my wooden dowels, glue it together, and clamp the bottom together. Then I set this top piece on, and I have a little jig I made that I got from a Matthias Wandel video that basically is this width of wood. It's a 3/4 inch piece of plywood and a 1/4 inch, which will bring you to 1 inch. And then I've got a side plate so that I can clamp it to here and I can clamp it to here. And then I go ahead and run one screw through the top to hold everything together. And then once everything's securely held together, you can just drill your dowel holes and glue your dowels in. So here's the wood cut up for the 4 remaining pieces. This is the back vertical piece with the rabbet cut out for the back horizontal piece. This is one of the cross members. This is the front vertical piece. And this is the top with the half laps. This is how I make my wooden dowels. I have some 1/2 inch popular wooden dowels that I cut 3 inches long. I have a little fence set up here on my bandsaw. So I'll start off with the back section, the back piece. So this goes towards the wall, which means that the bottom cross support goes here. So the bottom of this 2x4 is 6 inches from the bottom of this 2x4. Should be right here. So the top of this 2x4 would be 3.5 inches up from that, which would be here. So my doweling jig has different size dowel holes, but the 1/2 inch one's right here, which is 3/4 of an inch from the edge, and then it's a 1/2 inch for the hole. So I align this edge with my bottom line to make my first cut. And I have just a wooden block on here because I didn't have a stop for a 1/2 inch drill bit. So this is about a little over 3 inches long, which my dowels are 3 inches long. This jig is 1.5 inches tall, so it's going 1.5 inches into the wood, and then I'll go 1.5 inches into the other piece of wood, and that'll allow. And like I said, it's a little longer than 3 inches, so it'll allow enough room for a dowel. So there's the first hole. So for the second one, I could turn the dowel jig around 180 degrees and line it up with the top one and drill it. But I want to make sure that the holes and the connecting piece are lined up perfectly. So if I knew that this was exactly 3.5 inches tall, then this would probably work fine, and then I could do the same thing here, line it up with the edge and then line it up with the edge. But it's likely these are all a little bit different. So what I'm doing instead is calculating where it would be from this edge, where I should align this back edge of the jig from this edge to get the hole in the same spot as if I were to do it this way with a 3.5 inch. So what it ends up being is 1.5 inches from this bottom line. Becomes my new bottom reference line for the jig. So now if I drill the hole here, it should pretty much be in the same spot as if I were turning it around. Since I know that line's exactly 3.5 inches higher, it's not as important on this piece, but from this piece it is important that I line the jig with the edge and then make a mark 1.5 inches up and line the jig with the edge of it to drill the second hole. And that'll make sure that everything lines up perfectly. And then the edge that I referenced on here, I'll mark on here as a B for bottom. And then I'll make sure I put bottom towards the bottom of my vertical board, and it will make sure that everything aligns properly. So here's the bottom mark on the cross piece. Clamp it to the table. So since the bottom's over here, we have to reference the jig from this side. So now we'll measure 1.5 inches up from the bottom. And draw a reference line. So the jig doesn't want to clamp properly because the board's not long enough to go under the whole jig. So you have to kind of be careful when you drill through it and make sure the jig doesn't shift or your dowels will be crooked and they won't line up with the other piece. I'm going to try to put a clamp on the bottom here and see if it helps hold it straight. Okay, so now these dowels should fit in the hole, which they do. They look straight. So the bottom's right here. Let's see if they line up. And they do. Alright, so this is the front vertical piece. The crossmember will always also connect to. Now the last one, we came up 6 inches from the bottom. But this one will have a 2x4 on the floor laying flat that it sits on top of, so we have to subtract 1.5 inches from that. So we'll go 4.5 and draw a line. And then we'll go 1.5 inches up from that. And draw our second line. So I'm aligning the bottom of the jig with the first line. And now with the second line. and those also fit. Alright, so now we're ready to glue this cross member in, and then we will screw the top piece right here on to hold everything square. While it's screwed together, we will go ahead and drill holes for dowels on the top, and then this section will be done. So now I have the part we just glued together clamped vertically to my table to hold it while we screw the top piece to it. So this is the back with the rabbit, and this is the front. So the back is flush and the front overhangs 4 inches right here. So I made this jig right here. This was from Matthias Wandel video, just to center this top 2x4 that's laid sideways on this bottom 2x4. So there should be approximately an inch on each side overhang. So this is a piece of 3/4 inch plywood with a piece of 1/4 inch plywood screwed together to a back piece, just so I can use it to center everything. So and this will allow me to put one screw in the middle to hold it securely while I do the wooden dowels. The front should have a 4-inch overhang. So that's pretty close. There's 4 inches. So for these, I'm not going to use a jig, I'm just going to mark where the hole should go and drill down and hammer in dowels from the top.